Good day, my people, and welcome to Sit, Sip, and Chat. Now, let's continue the journey. Hello, my people, and welcome to Sit, Sip, and Chat. It's where I sit with different persons in the community. We have a chat, and we have a sip or two. Today, we have with us Miss Maki Brooks, the current Managing Director of the Maarten Development Fund. And I am your host, Glenda York of GCY Initiative. So we're going to start off first with me just reading a bit of backstory about Miss Brooks. Things that you may or may not know, but I have to put all her business out there so that you know who we're dealing with. So Maki is a former student of St. Dominic High School here on St. Maarten. She then left St. Maarten and attended FAMU University in Tallahassee, where she got her bachelor's in political science. She then went on to earn her master's in international development. And like I said, Maki is the current managing director of the SMDF, or the Maarten Development Fund. But first, she worked as the program and development manager for the foundation. Since she's been back on the island following her studies, she's been actively working to move St. Maarten forward from the inside. She's held several government jobs and was also an instructor at the University of St. Maarten for a short time. All that to say, the girl's been busy and she's been focused. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for putting all my business out there.
That's what I'm here for, is to let people know that we have these capable, young, not so young, and older persons here on the island working to make St. Maarten great. Okay, so before we go into our conversation, our chat, let's tell the people where we are. Today we are located at SXM Crazy Beach Bar on Front Street number 133. They're open every day except for Mondays, just until mid-October. And every Thursday, they have a karaoke night. I'm looking for you at the karaoke night. And every Friday, there's a happy hour from 5 to 7, and the karaoke is from 7 to 11 p.m. So we just want to say thank you to SSM Crazy Beach Bar for hosting us today. And what we are drinking, I have one of their signature drinks. It's called the Crazy Blue Breeze, and Maki is drinking the Crazy Rum Punch.
Yes.
So we just have the bright colors because it's there's no other way to be.
Exactly.
So cheers.
Cheers. This is fantastic. Like, absolutely fantastic.
I know. And this works perfectly for me because I like sweet drinks. And it's a sweet drink. And it's bright, which makes you smile.
Exactly.
Because we're on Sunshine City, so it all just works.
Clearly, the sip part is already working, so I'm fully supportive.
This is what it is to get everybody relaxed and on the same page.
There you go.
Okay, so let's get into this conversation. You went to Dominic High, and then you went off to college straight after St. Dominic when you finished school?
No, actually, I took a year off.
Okay.
So I finished high school pretty much as soon as I hit 17 is when I finished high school. And I wasn't certain what I wanted to do, so I stayed for a year. I actually worked at Telcel, learned so much. That was my first adult job.
Yeah.
And then after that year, I left to go to FAMU for my bachelor's.
Okay, and then what made you decide on your major? And the school.
Okay, so that's a two-part question. So first, I thought when I was younger, I think I was one of those few children that knew exactly what they wanted to study. So I think up until I was about 14, I wanted to study law.
Okay.
And then at some point, I realized that lawyers don't necessarily make the law, but instead it is about people who work in public administration, who work in government, who create laws to hopefully make life better for people. So that's why I went down the route of political science to actually hopefully create spaces that make life better for people.
That explains a lot more. You trying to jump ahead of me, but that's okay. So then what made you choose FAMU?
So funny thing is, FAMU was not actually my first choice, right?
Okay.
So crazy thing, I applied to other schools, and the school I really wanted to go to is the University of South Florida.
Go Bulls.
However, USF lost, or rather, I shouldn't say they lost, but they mailed my acceptance letter to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh.
So I had gotten accepted, but I never received the physical acceptance letter.
Oh, that sucks.
It really did.
We could have been friends in college.
Like roommates or something. So then, because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Some family friends recommended FAM, and then I applied there and I got in. And I am so glad that USF mailed my letter to the USBI. Haha, you're lost. Because FAM was amazing.
You're okay with it though. You're not petty or
not at all. Not at all. I'm not bitter. Like,
but you could have had a great experience at USF. I'll just say that because it's a smaller St. Martin community, which could have been a benefit or a con. So it could have been a pro or con, but it's a pretty tight-knit St. Martin community.
I feel you. However, I'm a proud HBCU grad, and that is an experience that I would never ever have wanted to change.
That is a plus. That is a plus. Yeah. So just from that, your college experience was 10 out of 10. You recommend that?
Yes.
What was your favorite part?
I think it was just a sense of community, and also going to HBCU. There's a greater sense that we're all going to succeed, and we're going to work with each other to succeed. And I also love like following people that I went to college with on social media to see what they've been up to.
Yeah.
A lot of people doing absolutely amazing things, and that's even more motivating. And yeah, the HBCU culture is just about like really investing in the whole human being. And I just think that
sounds very much like you. So it sounds like a good fit. So then when you were doing your bachelor's, did you already decide that you were going to do your master's, or was that a conversation you had with yourself afterwards?
I knew that I was going to go get my master's. Okay. That part was...
you already had the life
planner child, you know? I didn't know anything about how my personal life would look, but the professional and education life, that was already mapped out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she was already mapped out.
With the major also?
All the way. We knew what we were doing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And the school?
So I knew that I wanted to study international relation and international development, and I knew I wanted to do it in DC because to me that was the only place in the US that you study that. Like you got to go to the capital, be in the heart of thing. So I applied to all the DC schools. I got in to all of them, and then I chose American because I liked their program. Again, the planner child. Just did all the plans. So from high school, you already knew you wanted to do bachelor's and master's and what they were going to be in. Yes. And what happened if the plan went left? Huh? I don't understand the question that you're asking. Nothing. I asked. Nothing. I must say I've learned now how to what I call pivot. You know, when something doesn't work, it is not the end. It is just a moment to pivot. Learning lessons in life and adulthood. See, it's the work-life balance, the professional with the personal. So then with that in mind, because with realizing that you wanted to be a lawyer, but then you realize they don't make the laws. So your plan was always to invest in and make better the country, or just was there something specific that you wanted to focus on? That's a really good question. So I didn't know if it would have looked like at a country level like I'm at now, but I just knew I wanted to make communities and life better for people. That's it. That was I feel like my life is about service. It's about being helpful. It's about wanting and seeing better for other people. And I wasn't certain about how it would look. Like I didn't see myself working at an NGO, but if the bottom line is service and about other human beings, and that's what I think I'm supposed to be. So your plan was always to move back home? No. That was a shift. No. No? So what was the... Not that I don't love the country so much. So then what community were you going to serve? It really didn't matter. Can I tell you something? Sure. When I was in the middle of my first year of my master's program, I, in my mind, thought that I was going to get a job in like Afghanistan or Iraq. Oh. You were global. Yes, I honestly did not see myself moving back to St. Martin. But near the end of my second year, when I was thinking about PhD programs, a voice in my head just said, go back home. Okay. And it was a very surprising voice because part of the trajectory was international job, PhD program. But that voice won, and then, here you are. And how do you feel about that choice? But did the voice lead you astray, or did it lead you down the right path? I think the voice led me down the right path. I was very uncertain in the beginning, But if I have to look at what my life looks like now, the voice may have been right.
May have.
Just a
It
little bit.
wasn't. Because then when I was reading out, so you worked, where did I put it? You worked several government jobs. I didn't write all of them out. You worked at the not stats department.
Yeah, so I worked at economic policy.
Yes.
That was actually the job that I applied for to move back. So when the voice said move back home, I immediately went online and I was trying to see, what vacancies and opportunities were there, because I didn't want to move back without a plan. The planning woman.
Yes.
So I saw a few vacancies in government, and then I applied for that one at economic affairs. And I got that. And that's the reason that I moved back. So I essentially moved back for that job, and then one thing just led to another. And
here we are.
Yeah.
So then you were a research, you were in charge of the research. Fill in the rest of that.
So essentially that's the section of economic policy. So it does a lot of research, a lot of policy writing for the rest of the ministry. So whether that was, economic development plan, investment framework, things related to maximum prices and things like that, the economic development reports quarterly and annually.
What would you say was the biggest takeaway from working there?
The biggest takeaway, even though St. Maarten is small, there are a lot of voices and there are a lot of stakeholders. You would think that because you're in such a small island, everybody's going to have the same experience. Everybody's going to think the same way. Everybody will have the same desires. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Like really doing stakeholder consultation, it can take forever. It can be frustrating, but it is necessary because everybody's voice deserves to be heard.
Yeah, because it's like 100 and something different nationalities that we have on the island, and everybody needs to be represented, like you said.
Correct.
So that's a lot of voices to have to listen to.
Yeah.
And you handle it.
I won't always say that the ride was smooth. Definitely not. But the building is still standing, so I think that's a win, right?
That's good. You didn't have to burn down. I should say the building wasn't burned down.
Exactly.
That's a good thing. So then from the economic policy, where did you go after that?
Then I went to SMDF, and then that was in February of 2017.
And what did you do there when you first started?
So I was a program and development manager.
And what did you do?
That dealt a lot. So just to give a little bit of background, SMDF does a lot of grant disbursements. So we get funds from different organizations, Government of St. Maarten, Windward Islands Bank, some other private sector donors. And then we distribute those funds to other nonprofits on the island.
Okay.
So that was a big part of my job then, as well as identifying new sources of funding for the organization so we can continue to invest in the community.
So does all of the funding or most of the funding come from locally, or is it come also internationally?
I think it's year over year. I would say in 2020 and 2021 in particular, because we had a lot of COVID programs.
Yeah.
Most of the funds came from locally. So
locally? Okay.
Government of St. Maarten did quite a bit. We did the SSRP, so we did unemployment support for the Ministry of Finance, which was such a learning process. So it really depends. But we are grateful for every guilder that we get because it allows us to, again, serve the community
help someone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so then from
program and development manager.
Words, it's just like big titles. The program and development manager, and then you became managing director.
Yes, ma'am.
How was that? And how? Because first they had to tell you. Because I'm guessing you didn't know that you were nominated for that position.
Definitely.
It's a nomination, or do they just assign you?
So essentially, it's an internal thing, and also the managing director is appointed and selected by the supervisory board. So I didn't even know that my name was floating formally. The previous managing director called me one evening. And he told me, "So, how do you feel about my job?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's a job." Because I really didn't know. When you're working, you have aspirations for the next thing. So you're thinking about, okay, I'm growing here. I've learned a lot in this particular seat in this space. What am I going to do next? So of course I was thinking about what's going to happen next, but I didn't know that on that day that phone call would have happened. It was being
discussed on your behalf.
So I had no idea. So the call definitely came as a surprise. One that I'm incredibly grateful for. To know that the board saw something in me that made them feel certain and confident that I would have made a good MD. So I think
it's the planner child. They saw the inner planner child and it was like, she's the one. And with that, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have more with Makhicia Brooks, about her role as the current managing director of SMDF. Stay tuned.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais là? Qu'est-ce que tu fais là? But sorry, no sir. They got this game tonight and I can't miss it. Me and my boy, we gotta watch the game, you know. So I bringing this in. You check? Alright, let me watch your leg. Watch your leg.
Sir, sorry. Why so difficult? Look, I'm watching TV here on my phone with the Tel TV Plus app. You really gotta upgrade.
Okay, so miss, tell me about the Tel TV Plus. I hear about this.
Okay, so once you apply for Tel TV Plus,
okay,
you can enjoy it anytime on the go.
Anytime?
Anytime.
On the go?
On the go. You simply download the app, log into your account at any time, sit back and enjoy. You will never have to miss your match.
Yo, bus driver, take me back to tell him now, please.
And welcome back, my people, to Sit, Sip, and Chat. We are still here sitting with Miss Maki Brooks. But before we continue our conversation, I just want to tell you guys about Kokomoods Concepts. Kokomoods Concepts is celebrating their 5-year anniversary this month in September. Kokomoods Concept is about celebrating your mood or nationality, however, whichever one you want to go with. They have bags, as you can see here. They have earrings, they have candles, diffusers, rugs. They have an array of different things that you can choose from to represent yourself in whatever mood or nationality you are. So make sure you check out Kokomoods Concepts website at kokomoodsc.com. That's COCOMOODSC.com. So, Maki, we went from university to coming back to the island unplanned for the planner child. Not quite sure how that worked out. To working for government, to working for private sector. SMDF would be considered private sector, correct? Okay. So how was the transition from public to private sector?
It was definitely a challenge. I think the public sector government is a really large organization. Mm-hmm. There's so many people. There are so many different components. Mm-hmm. And again, because there's so many people, you have to collaborate even more. But SMDF is super duper small. When I started, there were 3 people. I was the 3rd person. Mm-hmm. So in that case, then you are responsible for so many different things. Like, for example, I was dealing with the website, with social media content, anything PR related. Also dealing and communicating with NGO clients, trying to get new donors. So I think it was really, really interesting to go from being responsible for a very small box to being responsible for such a large, amount of different responsibilities. Because even though the organization is small, you still wanted to have a professional presence.
Yes.
So that requires you to put in even more on different fronts.
So then how do you, I think this is more from your managing director role. Mm-hmm. How do you get so much done with such a small team? Is it like more how do you get it done?
I think it requires you to want to have a vision and to be specific in that vision. Mm-hmm. I will say I am guilty of dreaming big and having really large aspirations. But to be successful in an area that you are really focused on means that sometimes you need to close other doors. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned, particularly in the past year, that for you to grow and grow in a professional way that people can respect, sometimes you have to be able to say no to this opportunity so that you can focus on the one that's in front of you that you feel strongly will lead you to your next step.
I think that's a pretty big, that's like a gem that you just dropped there, because I think as you pursue goals or goals that you've had in your mind, when you see an opportunity present itself, it's like, oh, I can handle this. Or how do I say no to this? This has been the dream for so long. And it's kind of hard to come to the mindset that the dream might have shifted a little bit. So how do I stay on this path that I now want, but then how do I say no to this other thing that I've wanted also?
And I think that is really, really difficult. That is difficult in personal and professional.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to accept sometimes letting go of something, because we almost automatically assume that letting go means losing.
Yeah.
But that's really not the case. Letting go sometimes just means I am creating space for something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I had to really grapple with and just acknowledge, like, hey, yeah, you thought that you wanted that. But now that you're in this space, you're like, that doesn't actually serve me.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to let it go and see what is to actually come to help to add more to my life. It's really, really hard.
So then when you were program and
development
manager, and then they offered you managing director, was that a situation where you kind of had to let go of something to take on this new role, or was this role on the trajectory of what you wanted to do?
I would say it's a 50-50 thing. Yes, of course, like growth is always what I hope to be in my path forward. But there were things that I was doing in that time of program development manager. So for example, I had a column in the Daily Herald.
I remember.
And I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoy writing, I enjoy sharing. But then the opportunity for managing director came around, and I had to really assess myself, my life, what I thought would be needed of me in that role. And it really, really was a difficult choice to say, at this moment, I can't have the position of MD and do it well,
mm-hmm.
and also maintain that column and do some of the other things that I had wanted to do. Okay. And that was difficult. It made me sad.
But the choices had to be made.
Yeah.
So since you made that transition for me, so what was the column in the Daily Herald about?
So it was called Making Maki, and it was just about life, lifestyle, and wellness. So what it means to be a professional, particularly in the Caribbean context.
Okay.
Because yes, you know, for example, you might say, okay, a woman is a woman everywhere. That is true. A woman will always be a woman. Humans are always humans.
Lifestyle is different.
Yeah, but the life of a young person in the Caribbean and what it means to navigate these spaces is not something that everyone in the world is going to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that a lot of times I was having these conversations with people in private, but not many people wanted to start the conversation in public.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to write and I wanted to share my thoughts, not for people to necessarily agree with me, but to at least have a trigger, a catalyst to start the conversations, to start thinking about how they're living their lives and what is working for them, what isn't working for them, and how to just make their lives better for them.
So then my question is, because while you were doing your master's program, did you have like a job or some type of work experience?
Yes. So as part of my master's program, I was a research and teaching assistant.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I did some hours doing research for professors who were writing papers for publication. Mm-hmm. And then I also did some hours assisting with teaching or filling in if a particular professor wasn't available to teach that undergrad class.
So how would you say was the difference? What would you say was the difference in the American work environment versus Caribbean work environment?
One is pace. Mm-hmm. I will be very, very honest. I think that we have a slower pace sometimes. Part of that has to do with how we communicate. I find that culturally we do not like to offend.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, we want to be kind of careful with them. And that is not something that is necessarily what I experienced while I was working as a teaching and research assistant. Sometimes it was just like, this is the reality. So I'm not speaking to your emotions and speaking to the situation.
Okay.
And that is not something that I find here, which I really appreciate. I love the fact that we are careful with each other. But sometimes I have those moments where I'm like, okay, so
you
what are we
just
doing?
need to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it done and move on.
It's great that we're being kind, and I'm always here for kindness. But let's keep the pace going. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I will just mention is that currently you've been getting into social media and you've been elaborating. You found a way to get back into that work-life balance and getting your thoughts out there for the people. So I'll just put her tag her in the bottom, so that people know where they can find your inspirational words and get Maki's take on work-life balance. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up. That's it. This has been Sit, Sip and Chat. Again, we are here at SXM Crazy Beach Bar. We thank them so much for hosting us. And thank you for sitting with us as we had our chat. So now guys, you've sat with us, you've observed our chat. Feel free to have a drink or two. Until the next one.